We had our 8th volunteer day in September of this year, and it's called the Platte River Revival Volunteer Day. The Volunteer Day is a part of the larger project that we call the Platte River Revival. Platte River Revival is a river restoration project for the length of the river as it traverses Casper. What people should expect to see down the road is construction on the river where we're actually going to be fixing the river so we're not having massive bank erosion. We're taking the Russian olives away because that's an invasive species that ruins the riparian ecosystem along the river. And we should have some water quality improvements along the way, as well as changing habitat for fish, other aquatic species, as well as the riparian plant species and other animals that thrive in riparian areas, birds, songbirds, just to name a few. So the Volunteer Day is an opportunity for people to come out and help do hands-on restoration for the river. This year our activities included the usual taking the litter away, both in river and along the banks. So we had a lot of boat crews out there taking junk out of the river, a lot of tires. We had people wrapping trees. One of the problems that exists is while beaver are natural to the river and riparian habitat, we don't want them taking out our very valuable cottonwoods that have been here for years, because we're trying to increase the cottonwood galleries. That's very important to the riparian health. So we had volunteers wrapping trees with wire fencing. So we wrapped about 750 trees along the river and did maintenance for the trees that we wrapped last year. We did not plant any trees this year. We hauled out we had groups of volunteers hauling away the Russian olives that we had cut, and I think we took out over 500 Russian olives this year during our Volunteer Day project. I have been involved with this project from the very beginning. I was given a work assignment to start a river, it was kind of a river cleanup project, and from the very beginning, that was my work assignment, and from the very beginning we got people together like Cindy Langston from Solid Waste. We went to the Two Fly Foundation, we went to Game and Fish, we went to BLM, and we gathered all kinds of public and private partners to put together a river cleanup. But from after the first meetings, we already knew that it was no longer a cleanup, that it was always going to be a restoration, because it's what the river called for. And we're really standing on the shoulders in lots of ways of all the people that have come before us to do good things for this river. It started back in the 19, if you let me get my white paper, I can tell you about that, but I believe it was 1948, there was a public health report that said this river was so polluted and so far gone that recovery would never happen. But a group of people started back then cleaning up the river. They went so far. Then, in 1984, the 80s, a group formed called the Platte River Parkway, and they started putting trails along the river. And while they weren't out there improving the river itself, they were improving the river corridor by putting a trail along and kind of highlighting the beauty and everything that remains of the river. So that was another group that kind of jumped on to this, what I call the continuum of what we've done. And then Jane Sullivan got a group of people together, and now we have the Amoco reuse area with the Three Crowns golf course and everything that's happening there. And that was, left when Amoco left, and it could have been fenced off and just been kind of a blight in the middle of our town, but instead it is a wonderful reuse project and a cleanup project. So we see ourselves on this project as standing on the shoulders of all of those people who have come before us, doing little parts to highlight what a jewel and what the asset that we have for the river is. When we started the river restoration project, or the river revival, we started with a volunteer day because we didn't have any money and we knew it was going to take a lot of money to do a master plan. So we said, but we can do things like take out the cars out of the river and the concrete. So from the very beginning, when we started talking to people about this, businesses and employees groups from those businesses volunteered their time to work as representing their companies and volunteer their time to do hands-on restoration, taking litter out, planting trees, wrapping trees. We've inventoried the trees. We've just done all kinds of work in the last 8 years along the river.
So this is the 8th annual Platte River Revival Volunteer Day. We had over 400 volunteers pre-registered as of yesterday. We're really excited to have everybody out here. This project, in the 7 years that it's been going, we have been successful in removing over 1 million pounds of debris here out of the river. Thousands of Russian olive branches, cars, tires, multiple different items that don't belong. So it's really important to revive this river for our economic development and quality of life in Casper. There's currently 18 companies and organizations that are private sector that are in this partnership, as well as 10 governmental agencies. So we're really proud of that and really excited for what the future holds for the Platte River. I became involved this year because it's a great community project, and I'm really excited about it. I believe in the cause, and I was asked to be the public information officer this year. Help coordinate media and get everyone the stories they're looking for.
This year we had the largest amount of volunteers that we've ever had. We had over 600 volunteers. It's the largest year ever. We average anywhere between 350 and 500 volunteers, but this year was our largest yet. We've taken well over 1 million pounds of junk out of the river and trash away from the river. Concrete, cars are the biggest. Obviously tires are the poster child for litter, but that's not the largest item that we've removed.
Yeah, there's engine blocks, lawnmower engines, big, large chunks of concrete, miscellaneous metal parts and rods. And I think there's a garbage scooper or poop scooper right there in the pile, a chair.
Every year on our volunteer day, we have found stolen goods that people have dumped in the river. And so our river crews that are in there with boats find that. So yes, we did find some laptops and some PlayStations that were stolen and dumped in the river, and those were taken out and taken into custody by our police department.
Well, if the parents call the police, made a report, and had the serial number written down, we'll put the serial number in a report, and then if he runs that serial number, dispatch will have it logged somewhere, and it could come up that it was stolen. Then we can give it back to the kid that lost it, or the business it was stolen from. We'll see here. Thank you. So it came back negative, so nobody reported it as stolen.
What I attribute the large number of volunteers this year to is, first of all, it was a beautiful, beautiful day. So we had a lot of walk-ups because we take pre-registration. Most of our volunteers are usually pre-registered. This year, People apparently decided in the morning when they got up and saw what a great day it was to come out, because it was the largest number of what we call walk-up volunteers that we have ever had. The project itself is very, very exciting for Casper. When we get into construction, which will hopefully be next fall, you're going to start seeing the river transform, and I think a lot of people are expecting that. We've been talking about it now for 8 years as we gather the money. It's about a $16 million project, so it takes a while to gather that kind of money. And I think that people see the need and the value and what they can do for their community.
My parents were big on serving the community, and that's what Rotary is all about, is service to the community, always giving back to the community. As Rotary volunteers, we come out and keep track of all the volunteers, make sure that nobody gets hurt, make sure that everybody gets home safe. We have a card system that they check in with their cards, give me their card when they check in. I make sure they pick it up when they leave, so that at the end of the day, if I have any cards left, I know that somebody's missing, and we have to go find out where that person is. Make sure that everybody's safe and nobody gets injured or lost.
The boundaries of the cleanup this year were from Murad Park all the way over to the Knife River area and the McKinsey Dog Park area. So we break the river up into sections, and we had volunteers in every section, both on the shore and in the river, cleaning that part of the river. Our first construction site will be at Murad Park. The only bid that we received for the job for Murad Park in river construction was way over our budget, way over our engineer's estimates, and they weren't going to be able to do the construction until next year. River construction on the North Platte River through Casper is intricate and difficult. It's a big river in terms of restoration. It's a regulated river, and the flows have to be down enough. So the only time that we are able to construct is basically from about October 1st until freeze. So we have a very short window of construction time. We hope to construct Murad, and it will be our first project next year, starting in October. The things that we'll do, you'll see that we will be creating some wetlands where there are stormwater outfalls right now. And those wetlands will filter the water before it gets to the river, taking out the sediment and some of the pollutants that come from the street. Stormwater is everything that's washed off streets and parking lots and goes through outfalls and flows directly into the river untreated. It's the largest source of water pollution that there is, and it's called non-point source water pollution. Wetlands are one management practice that if you can capture stormwater in a wetland, it will filter it with the right plants and take the water to the river clean versus taking the polluted water to the river. So we will construct some wetlands, we will restore other wetlands, we will be putting in J-hooks in the river. They will be below river grade, so you won't, and they're constructed of rock. So you will not see them except for it's very, very low water. But what those structures will do is force the water to the middle of the channel. It will create complex riffle pools and things that you want to see in the river that are good for aquatic habitat and fish. So one of the outcomes of our project, besides improving water quality and improving the health of the river and the riparian ecosystem, is we actually hope to see an increase in the amount of trout and fish in the river and maybe improve our fishing. We hope that that's one of the outcomes. That is not the only goal of this project, but for the partners that are on this project that are avid fishermen and for our game and fish, that is one of the things that they're hoping to see. Storm sewers, or non-point source water pollution, is the large non-source point pollution is the largest source of water pollution that we have. So that's anything that lands on parking lots or the street, ends up being washed by snow melt or rain into this gutter and then into the storm sewers and dumps directly into the river. So anybody that has an oil leak on their vehicle. That oil ends up going into the river. If you over-fertilize your yard and the rain washes it off, it goes into the gutter and into the river. Any pesticides that you use on your lawn or herbicides eventually wash off into the storm drain and into the street. Litter, the fecal coliform from animal feces, especially pets, dogs, cats, and any other pet that you have, if you don't pick that up right away from parks or yards, that washes into the river, and those all create very serious water pollution problems, not only for Casper and the North Platte River, but as it flows downstream to the next users. The construction restoration portion, we have 7 sites that we want to construct. It looks like it's going to be, optimistically, probably about a 5-year time frame, based on the short window of construction that we have in the river. Once we get those 7 sections done, what I anticipate will happen is maybe we'll go out for another master plan, because a master plan is really only good for 7 years. And what a master plan is where we go out, we've studied the river, we've looked at hydraulics, hydrology, we've mapped the trees, we've mapped erosion, we've done all kinds of scientific calculations that our consulting engineer and their river restoration engineers have done. We've done all of that work. That plan is good for about 7 years. So once we complete our 5 projects, we may go out for a master plan and look at the rest of the river. Right now we're looking at the sections that we'll construct will be from Murad Park all the way over to past Bryanstock Trail and our wastewater treatment plant. The section of the river from Murad Park upstream to perhaps Trevette Lane maybe could be looked at in a master plan, and I think it would be beneficial, and that would be then another set of designs and restoration work that we could possibly look at doing. But we're hoping 5 years, optimistically, getting the first 7 projects done. We've been working on this project for 8 years, and the beauty behind it really is that when I say we, the city of Casper facilitates the project, and as an employee of the city of Casper, I'm the project manager for it. But we have a public-private partnership of 28 organizations. So it's not only the city of Casper, it's the city of Casper, it's the town of Mills, it's Wyoming Game and Fish, it's the Bureau of Land Management, it's Natrona County Weed and Pest, it's Natrona County Conservation District, it's Two Fly Foundation, it's private groups who are interested in seeing what this river and fixing and making the river healthy can do. And everybody has an interest of why they're there. For some people, it's for economic development, because we know that fishing is a very big tourist industry in Casper. It draws a lot of tourists in. So for some people are looking at the economic development. Others are there because it's a conservation project. Others are there because it's a community improvement project. So it's 3 projects really in one, and you can't really separate the economic development portion, the community improvement or quality of life portion from the conservation. It's all 3 wrapped into one. And our group has been working for 8 years together very, very strongly, and I don't anticipate that there's going to be much changing of that anytime soon. If anything, I think we will be adding more partners to our effort. The way that this project is being funded, it started out with donations from the Two Fly Foundation, and that is a nonprofit oil and gas group that holds a fly fishing tournament every year. They raise hundreds of thousands of dollars for charities in Casper, Wyoming, and they have a 2-day fly fishing tournament. They were really very visionary in the beginning when they started this tournament, because they saw that while they were fishing, they always wanted at least 15% of the money that they raised to go to something that would benefit the river. but nobody knew what that was. They didn't know at the time what that was. They were just visionary saying, we should be doing something for the river. We all ended up getting together because they came to us talking about wanting to be able to do a river cleanup. And river cleanups are not as easy as you might think. You don't just get to go out and pick trash out of the river. If you pick something up that disturbs the riverbank, you create little dirt in the water, and that's called turbidity. So you need turbidity permits, and you need special permits to do some of the things that we do. So Two Fly stepped up with their vision and said, hey, we want to do something. We partnered with them and said, hey, we think we can do something. They gave the first money. River restoration work, design work, very expensive work. We've received close to $200,000 in private donations for this project so far. And what we've been able to do is take that money and leverage it with grants and match it. And we have raised about $5.5 million toward the $16 million that we need to do so far. We're very proud to report that we have secured the largest Wyoming Wildlife and Natural Resource Trust grant in the history of that trust, at $2 million. We are very proud that all the entities, so Bar None, Town of Mills, Town of Evansville, Natrona County, Casper, get together every year and decide what they're going to do with what's called consensus money that's given to cities, given to counties to decide what they want to do with it, and they all have to agree. We are getting $1 million from consensus funds. All of the groups in this area decided that that was important. 1 cent, now that our 1 cent has passed, we are on the plan to get $1 million in 1 cent money as well. And then we have $700,000 in one-time capital money that came from the city of Casper. It started out as part of what I did of my regular job. It's become a full-time job, and I think anybody who gets involved, you see the potential, and I love my job. Every day there's something different to do. There's something new that we're learning, and I guess the best part about it is working with all the different people and all the partnerships, because there's so much strength in a collective group coming together to achieve something great like this. It's the exciting part is working with such a large group of people, from all of the partners to even all the volunteers that come out on Volunteer Day. We've had 3,500 volunteers over the course of 8 years who've come out and given their time to this project. That's not including all of our partners. And every day we have something going on, believe it or not, with this project. We're planting something, or we're taking out Russian olives, or we're doing counts on wetlands. Today, for the last few days, we've been working on wetland creation that we're going to be doing in design work, and saying how many more acres of wetlands are we going to be adding to the riparian area on this project. This project, well, it's been, in the last year, it's been really elevated because council recognized that some of the council people believe that this is one of the most exciting projects that the city has ever done. Paul Bertoglio said that in one of the council meetings in all of his years, and he's been on the council for 16 years. He thinks it's the most exciting project that the city has ever undertaken. And so the city itself, the city organization, sees this project as one of its top 3 of how it's going to transform Casper. While I've been saying that the best is yet to come, I don't want to minimize what we've accomplished so far. We've taken out thousands and thousands of Russian olives, and that is already changing the riparian habitat. If you go over to behind the soccer fields and behind Lansing Field and Crossroads Fields and Murad Park, that just got done this year, but if you go and look where we've taken them out, in the Amico reuse area over by Three Crowns along Amico Park. You're going to see native plants and trees just thriving and coming back. And that is really changing already the ecosystem. So our volunteers and everything that we've done, we have accomplished a lot so far. The best, we have a lot more, and we think the best is yet to come. But I don't want to take away from all the work that has been done so far, because it has been tremendous and transformative.